I never meant any of this to happen. I am sorry for what had happened, but I never meant any of this to happen to this day.
July the 2nd, 2021. Umar Zameer, an accountant celebrating Canada Day with his 8-month pregnant wife and 2-year-old son, finds himself at the center of a tragedy.
Tony Correa testified he was driving an unmarked police car in the parkade under Nathan Phillips Square and saw Constable Jeffrey Northrup be run over by Zameer's BMW with his own eyes.
Prosecutors argued this was no accident, this was murder. But as the trial unfolded, shocking twists emerged and key evidence challenged the police's narrative.
Because there's zero motive for Mr. Zameer to go out and kill anyone, let alone a police officer. It should never have made it this far.
At around midnight on July the 2nd, 2021, Detective Constable Jeffrey Northrup and his partner Sergeant Lisa Forbes responded to a paparazzi call for a stabbing in the underground parking lot at Toronto City Hall in Canada. Amid the chaos, the officers worked urgently to ensure public safety whilst aware of a potentially armed suspect wielding a knife. As Detective Constable Jeffrey Northrup and Sergeant Lisa Forbes entered the underground parking lot, they identified a vehicle they believed may be connected to the reported stabbing. The vehicle belonged to Umar Zameer, a 31-year-old accountant. Umar Zameer had moved from Pakistan to Canada in January 2019 as a permanent resident under the Federal Skilled Worker Program. Mr. Zameer was with his heavily pregnant wife, Aida Sheikh, and their 2-year-old son. They had just returned from the Canada Day celebrations in Nathan Phillips Square. The family was seated in their car preparing to leave the parking lot, seemingly unaware of the tragic events about to unfold. Detective Northrup and his partner Sergeant Forbes, who were not wearing their uniform at the time but were in plain clothes, approached Mr. Zameer's vehicle. They began banging on the windows and doors. They demanded Mr. Zameer exit his vehicle and roll down the car window. Having heard of an anti-Muslim attack on a family nearly a month prior, Mr. Zameer panicked and was terrified for the safety of his 8-month pregnant wife and young child. This led him to panic and put the car in gear and attempt to drive away. During this time, Detective Northrup was struck and dragged approximately 6 meters under the vehicle. Detective Northrup suffered catastrophic injuries including multiple broken ribs, a fractured spine, and a lacerated liver. Despite receiving immediate medical attention and being rushed to St. Michael's Hospital, he succumbed to his injuries. He was pronounced dead shortly after arrival, marking a devastating end to his 31 years of service with the Toronto Police. He died on the same day at the age of 55. Mr. Zameer was arrested immediately at the scene and was subsequently charged with first-degree murder. He remained in custody for nearly 3 months until September the 22nd, where he was granted bail. The bail was set at $335,000, with conditions including residing with his sureties and being under electronic supervision. In order to meet the bail requirements, Mr. Zameer's family sold properties and other items to raise the necessary funds. However, the decision to grant bail sparked public outrage, with people referring to Mr. Zameer as a racist terrorist. Toronto's mayor and Canadian politician and businessman Doug Ford also got involved and called the release completely unacceptable. The trial commenced in early 2024, with jury deliberations concluding in April the same year. This is where the two accounts of the incident deeply differed, leading to significant public speculations and allegations that Mr. Zameer was being set up to satisfy police rage at the death of their colleague. According to Umar Zameer's defense team, after entering his vehicle in the underground parking lot of Toronto City Hall, a lady and a man in plain clothes banged on his car window aggressively. They did not identify themselves or present their badges. Unaware that they were police officers and fearing for his family's safety, Zameer initially drove forward to get away from them, but was quickly blocked by an unmarked police vehicle with tinted windows. Believing he was being ambushed by a criminal gang, he reversed into the laneway to escape. It was during this maneuver that he accidentally knocked down Detective Northrup. Still unaware of what happened and believing he had hit a speed bump, Zameer accelerated forward to flee the perceived threat. This is where he inflicted fatal injuries on Detective Northrup. Zameer maintained throughout the trial that he had no idea Detective Northrup was a police officer or that he had run over a person until later. His defense team maintained that the incident was a tragic accident and not a deliberate act.
The scene, the context is important here. Mr. Zameer, his 8-month pregnant wife, Ida, and their little 2-year-old, they were leaving Canada Day celebrations late at night. They were parked at Nathan Phillips Square parking lot. Parking lot was practically empty. They were getting ready to go, and as they're getting ready to leave, the two officers in plain clothes, who didn't look like police officers, came up to them and, quite frankly, aggressively started demanding that they stop. And when Mr. Zameer tried to leave by driving forward, another group of police officers, this time in an unmarked dark van, pulled up and blocked their exit. So Mr. Zameer goes from thinking, okay, these people are trying to maybe rob us, maybe carjack us, to now there's a whole gang and they're going to do who knows what to us. So they were scared, as I think most people would be in that situation.
On the other hand, the police account painted a drastically different picture. They claimed that both Detective Northrup and Sergeant Lisa Forbes had clearly and repeatedly identified themselves as police officers whilst approaching Zameer's vehicle. They argued that Zameer saw Detective Northrup standing stationary and acted deliberately when he struck him with his car. They stated that Detective Northrup had not been knocked down by the car reversing, but rather Zameer accelerated forward on purpose, fatally running over him and causing his death. These conflicting accounts became the crux of the trial, with the jury ultimately tasked with determining whether Zameer acted intentionally or was simply a terrified man in a state of panic due to the perceived threat. An accident reconstruction specialist provided a critical testimony during the trial, shedding light on the sequence of events. The expert analysis revealed that while Mr. Zameer was reversing his vehicle, the car sideswept Detective Northrup, causing him to fall to the ground. This fall placed Detective Northrup directly in the path of Zameer's vehicle. The specialist further explained that Northrup's position on the ground put him in a blind spot created by the hood of Zameer's car, rendering him invisible. This corroborated with Zameer's and his wife's account. The trial brought significant scrutiny to the conduct of law enforcement. Testimonies from police officers at the scene conflicted with video CCTV evidence and accident reconstruction findings, raising concerns about potential police misconduct and collusion. The court also questioned the practice of Sergeant Lisa Forbes and other officers as they wrote their notes together a month after the incident, violating protocols meant to ensure independent recollection. The delay and joint preparation of reports became a point of contention, casting doubts on the credibility of the police testimony on the prosecution's case against Umar Zameer. In April 2024, after careful deliberation, the jury unanimously found Umar Zameer not guilty of all charges, including first-degree murder, second-degree murder, and manslaughter. Mr. Zameer wept as he was fully acquitted of the charges. The verdict reflected the prosecution's failure to establish beyond a reasonable doubt that Zameer intended to harm Detective Northrup or that he was aware of his status as a police officer during the incident. The judge, Justice Anne Molloy, emphasized the lack of sufficient evidence to prove intent, acknowledging the severe ordeal of Zameer and his family. In a rare move, she extended a formal apology to him for the challenges that he faced throughout the protracted legal process.
Do you think anyone owes you an apology?
I don't think so, John. We just want to move on and we just wish everyone just realized themselves without an apology, without anything. Just realize themselves for the betterment of everyone. So it never happened again. That would be more than enough if everyone just realized themselves.
It was already so, we were so humbled when Honorable Justice Molloy apologized. It was like we felt so humbled, like coming from her. It was so good.
Yeah, it felt like coming from the whole Canada.
Yeah,
that is
it was so strong.
More than enough than anything else, since we are not looking for anything more than that.
Mr. Zameer left the court as a free man and gave the following moving statement.
I never meant any of this to happen. I am sorry for what had happened, but I never meant any of this to happen to this day. I can't thank enough to Mr. Nadir, Mr. Alex. I can just say this, these are not just the lawyers, these are angels for me. They worked not just for this case, they worked for the truth. When Nadir first came to me, when I was in the detention center, and I asked him, how would you pursue, how would you go with my case? He said, I know it's very complex, but I know I'm dealing with the truth and I won't leave you by your side. Just before the verdict, he only said me one thing: no matter what the verdict will come, I will be with your side. Now, later, and always been with. So Nadir, thank you very much. Alex, thank you very much. She is someone who not just gave me the advice of lawyers, who has been giving me advices on so many other issues. And Alex, I can't thank you enough. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Nadir. And I can't thank enough the whole Canada. I thought I and Ida made a wrong decision when we thought we should go to Canada. It's a better place for our kids. But I think today I see that Canada didn't let injustice to happen. So I thank Canada.
His lawyer said the following.
The Zameer family, the defense team, all of us, we remain ever mindful and saddened by that. So it's not a day for celebration, but it is a day for immense relief, because it wouldn't have done any good at all to brand Mr. Zameer a criminal. He is not a criminal. This was an unfortunate, terrible situation that happened. And as a result, an unfortunate, tragic death ensued, but it was not intentional. It was not a criminal act. It was an accident. Plain and simple.
Should this case have ever gone to trial?
No.
Following the verdict and during press conferences, police representatives expressed disappointment in the outcome rather than the satisfaction that justice was served. Toronto Police Chief Myron Demke was one of those people and reflected on the somber mood amongst the police force. However, following backlash, he later issued an apology to the Toronto Police Services Board.
I apologize for my choice of words in those early moments outside the courthouse. I want to be very clear and repeat that I respect and accept the decision of the jury. As I've said, closure can never come at the expense of justice. I should have been more clear that I support and accept the verdict.
The case has raised significant criticism whether Zameer should have been charged and sent to trial in the first place. The case also sparked discussion about systematic issues within law enforcement, including the reliability of police testimony, the treatment of civilians in interactions with plainclothes officers, and the broader implications for justice in cases involving police fatalities. Remarkably, it highlights the need for improved transparency and adherence to procedural standards in such investigations. It remains unclear whether Umar Zameer will take legal action against the police or the Crown for malicious prosecution, or whether he seeks to move on from the harrowing ordeal. What is certain is the immense toll this experience has taken on his life. For 3 long years, Zameer faced the weight of a wrongful conviction charge, enduring intense public scrutiny, name-calling, and personal hardship. During this time, he missed the birth of his youngest son, a moment that can never be reclaimed. His eldest son has been deeply affected by the trauma, with the events leaving a lasting impact on his emotional well-being. Zameer's family as a whole has struggled to piece their lives back together, burdened by the financial and emotional strain brought on by this case. Whether he pursues justice through legal avenues or seeks peace by leaving the past behind, the scars of this ordeal will remain with him and his family. On the other hand, a life has been tragically lost, and Detective Northrup leaves behind a legacy of service, sacrifice, and dedication. Detective Northrup's wife gave a statement outside court expressing her disappointment.
Very disappointed in today's outcome. From day one, all I've wanted is accountability. We miss Jeff every day. However, we continue on with him in our hearts, never to be forgotten. A hero in life, not death.
Ultimately, she believes justice has not been served. To honour Northrup's service, a park in his hometown of Brampton was renamed Northup Park in 2022. He is remembered as a courageous and compassionate officer who dedicated his life to serving the community. His passing continues to be a devastating loss to his family, friends and the Toronto Police Service, who cherished him as a loyal officer and an exceptional individual. This is undeniably a deeply troubling case. Some would argue that the initial charge by the police was justified based on the chaotic scenes and loss of life, while others see it as a failure to carefully evaluate the intent behind Zameer's actions. We should be able to hold police officers to a higher standard when it comes to integrity and honesty. However, the delayed police reports, conflicting accounts and lack of independent recollections questions the intent of the police and deepens the questions surrounding justice. Without the CCTV video, an innocent family man would have faced life in prison. A chilling thought. And it makes me wonder, how many cases don't have any video evidence at all? Personally, I feel the jury made the right decision, and I pray for peace and healing for both families. What do you think? Did the system handle this case fairly? Thanks for watching my video. If you'd like me to cover a particular case, please drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your suggestions. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps and supports the channel and motivates me to keep creating content. As a new YouTuber, your support means so much, and these videos do take a lot of time and effort. So thank you and have a wonderful day.